Hello, welcome to this segment of Fearless Aging. And we have a great title today. The title is How to Master Your Emotions for Healthy Aging and Longevity. And our uh, guest is Kathryn Eipl. She is the creator of the Neuro-Resonance method and vibrational wellness sound therapy. She is an emotional strategy coach, Reiki Master, sound therapist, yoga and meditation guide, and multidimensional human being. She fuses psychology with ancient yogic practices and meditation to help people learn to regulate their nervous systems. So whether you need guidance on your emotional health or want to support your balancing your energy and regulating your nervous system, Kathryn is poised to help. So Kathryn, so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about this topic because it's
Yeah,
something that we don't really talk about a lot.
absolutely. So I want to start with and get your thoughts and have you expand on this a little bit, because what I've always been teaching is how important our emotions are, and so
Mhm.
the way that it kind of works is first we have beliefs, right,
Mhm.
and our beliefs, then we have thoughts about those beliefs, and these thoughts create emotions, and then emotions are what create our feelings of how we feel about what's going on, and our feelings create the actions that we actually take, which equals the results that we're getting in our life, right? So
Mhm.
it's really all about the emotions. It's really it's what's creating the results that we're getting in our life. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, as you were saying, every emotion is energy, it's a thought, and emotion energy is chemistry. So, our emotional energy is chemistry. That means that every single thought, every feeling that we have triggers a biochemical response within our body, whether that's cortisol, dopamine, oxytocin. And so when we're living more in chronic stress, resentment, or fear, that's keeping the body in the defense mode, which
Mhm,
accelerates healing or accelerates aging.
mhm.
And so when we start to cultivate a sense of joy and connection, that allows the body to start creating a sense of safety. So then that's when we shift into repair and regeneration. So really your emotions aren't just feelings, but they're the chemistry of your youth and also your decay as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we are feeling beings, there's no question,
Mhm.
and we act on our feelings, and so it's so important to really get a handle on our emotions. But I guess the why we have such a problem with that, because we're not taught how to explore or utilize or understand our emotions as young
Mhm.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that I was not taught how to regulate my emotions or really
Hmm.
even to I wasn't given the space to really feel them as a kid and as a teenager. And I think when a lot of us think of wellness, we automatically go to the physical side of it. So,
Hmm.
eating right, exercising, meditating. Uh, and so, it's all the things that we can do, but we don't really look at how stress and emotions and negative thoughts can actually impact our age and what that does to our cells.
Yeah. Well, our emotions actually impact how we go about our doing, if we are doing or not doing exercise, or how we're eating, or how we're relating to other people. Our emotions are in totally control of that. Yeah, so this is such an important topic. So tell us, so y- y- obviously, I mean, you've studied all these different therapies. So how did you decide to come up with your neural resonance method?
Well, I've come up with that as a process of working on my own emotional well being over the years. So I initially started with a yoga practice, and from there, I devoted myself more into the yoga philosophies. And that's when I got exposed to Reiki and sound therapy. And I noticed that by doing those on myself or having someone else facilitate a Reiki session for me or sound therapy, that I felt much better. I felt more relaxed. I felt more centered. No matter how I felt walking in, I could have been really stressed coming from work. I could have had an argument with one of my partners or a friend. And after taking time to be with the sound or to work through the energy with Reiki, I felt a lot better. And then I was able to approach those situations from a healthier standpoint. Whereas instead of just letting those emotions kind of lead the way and not think about it, I was able to put myself in a space where I felt safe enough to play the tape of, okay, well, if I respond this way, how is that going to go? If I take a step back and respond from a calm, loving place, how is that
Hmm.
going to go?
Hmm.
Uh, so after working on it with myself, that's when I wanted to go deeper into cognitive behavioral therapy, as I have a psychology background in cognitive behavioral therapy. So I redirected my focus because I used to work in entertainment. So I started doing health and wellness full time. And as part of that, I got a cognitive behavioral therapy life coaching certificate. And so once I had that, it was really playing around with how that modality works with the other three modalities that I was working with already. And so with my clients, I would start integrating cognitive behavioral therapy techniques as they would talk about what brought them to Reiki or what their intentions were for sound healing. And I would notice that at the end, when we would have our decompression conversations and check ins after the session, they had so many realizations on the little things that they're doing in their thought patterns and how just the tiniest shift would impact them in a positive way.
Yeah.
So that's
That's a,
that's
I,
how I built it.
yeah, I just want to add to that again. So if people are still not a little bit wondering how all this works, is that because we know from quantum physics, everything in the universe is energy, right?
Mhm.
Sound, even our emotions and thoughts are energy, and the words we say are energy. And so all energy fields affect other energy fields, and that's what we've been learning more and more. So that's why all these different methods that you've developed and people have developed are so important. That's how they work, and that's why they're so important to understand this. So I know you have a great offer also, for our audience, where, and we'll put that link where people can pick up. But you're offering one of your neural resonance method sessions free for people. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so this is the introductory session. So what we'll do in the Neuro-Resonance one-off session is we'll talk about where you are right now, what your normal thought patterns are in your day, and how you want to shift them. Also, if there are behavioral patterns that you're doing or any new habits that you even want to build and incorporate. So we'll create that as your goals, and from there we'll work backwards and create a strategy for you to get from where you are to where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, this is so important. I mean, to really understand that. We'll talk a little bit about how we're so distracted. People. We're just
Yeah.
we're in this rush society. We're so distracted, and we need to slow down. I know on your website you have some really good. I wanted to pull that up. You have some really good sayings about slowing down, and then you have
Mhm.
one about letting go of the relationships. Talk a little bit about those real briefly.
Yes, of course. Thank you for asking. So, a lot of times, I mean, we live in a society that is built on instantaneous results. So that instills in us that everything that we do, all of the changes that we make have to happen instantly. And that's not actually true. When you look at nature, it takes a really long time for a tree to grow really tall. So it's going to take some time for us to sit with our emotions, because if we aren't taught, and most of us weren't taught to sit with emotions, it can be really uncomfortable. And that doesn't mean that it's uncomfortable, you need to avoid it. It means let's sit in the uncomfortableness that is that emotion until it starts to feel uh, a little bit more comfortable. And from there, we can start to learn what that emotion is telling us. Why is it there? Uh, and so that is what it means to slow down. Just give yourself that pause. Sometimes when we get really anxious, we feel our blood pressure increase, we get really hot, and we get really sweaty. So I like to take a hand and just put it over my heart and take a few deep breaths to remind myself to slow down. And then I'll start asking questions. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it in my body? Like, what is this showing me? Is there a texture to it? Because some people are more tactile, some people are more visual. So
Mhm.
textures and colors can also appear when we think about emotions. And then in terms of letting people go, I work a lot with people who are shifting from out of breakups, out of divorce, um, and people who are also just rebuilding their social network because they realized that the people that they were hanging around with served them to a point, and then they kind of outgrew that group. And so there's nothing wrong with realizing that you do need to change your social structure every now and then. Relationships we enter, we may think we're in them forever, and then sometimes those two people grow apart, and then it becomes a question of how are we going to adapt? How are we going to shift this relationship?
Yeah.
Or is it better for us to part ways? And just because you part doesn't mean that you have to do it with anger or animosity. You can do it from a very loving standpoint.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're just about out of time, Catherine. I know it shows goes by so fast, but I think the main point here is that you can get control over your emotions, and emotions are controlling your life. So you need to understand what your emotions are telling you and get control over your life. And Catherine's an expert that can really help you. So I highly recommend that you connect with her and take advantage of her free session. I know I'm going to. I just found out about it, so I'm going to take a free session. So this is such an important service that she has to offer. So, Catherine, thanks so much for being here, and thank you for what you're doing. It's a great service.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be a guest on your show. And yes, so for anyone who's interested, you can click the link. I know it's going to be in the show notes. And at checkout, just type in welcome, all caps, and you'll be on your way to a free neuro-resonance strategy session. And who knows, maybe you'll even come out of it looking younger.
Yeah, I think so. Feeling younger for sure. All right. Thank you,
Definitely
Catherine.
feeling younger.
And thank everybody for being here.
Thank you so much.